Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the ultimate chuck it all in video for my spring botanical tropical season. I absolutely love this one. This mold is the Druzy Edge mold from Molds and Shapes, and just a little gentle reminder, Molds and Shapes are closing down. If you missed my last video, go check it out. That gives you all of your timeline that you need to know to get your orders in. Okay, to the video, chuck it all in. We're using crushed mirror glass. This is a vase filler from the garden centre. We're using gold foil. We're using pressed flowers in these gorgeous tropical colours. We're using pressed dried leaves. We're using temporary tattoos. We are using stencils. We're also using silk screens, which I completely forgot to show you at the beginning. And we're also using dried rose leaves. I think they're roses. I can't remember where I got them from. I think I got them from my garden, but don't quote me on it. Dried petals. Dried petals. First up, the tattoos are going in. Now, for me, this was vital. These had to go in first because they contain water. They will, have water put on them in order to seal them on the tray. So if I do anything else before this, then the water is going to affect it. So to stop any of that happening, tattoos are going down first. I didn't want one big massive tattoo across the front or the sides, anything like that. So I cut this tattoo in half and I'm just doing like a 50-50, just kissing the edge, like coming in over the edge. There is still some tattoo left out, so I do end up kind of like using it where I can use it. So again, these are temporary tattoos. They are from Amazon. I will link whatever I can link that I've used in this video. I will link it down below. The pressed leaves, pressed flowers, temporary tattoos, silk screens, you name it, I will link it. I'll even link my gloves and all of that. So if you want to just have a play with this because it is so much fun, then do check out my description box down below. So temporary tattoos are going straight on the mold. This means that the tray will need a top coat once finished. These are from Amazon, like I said, and they are designed for your skin, right? They are exactly what you would buy if you fancied putting a temporary tattoo on your arm or your leg for fun. These are those. So use them in exactly the same way. Make sure you remove that clear protective layer, face them down in your mold, add water to the back, and press down, making sure that the temporary tattoo is fully stuck. Now, the best piece of advice I could give you here is do not pull that temporary tattoo straight back off of the mold. Slide it off. That is honestly the safest way to prevent any ripping or tearing of your temporary tattoo, making sure that it has adhered to the surface. So you can see my vision. We've got a little bit of flower on the left, a little bit of flower on the right. This one here, I hated it because obviously I used the wrong bit of the tattoo, so it gave me a straight edge. We don't want any straight edges. We want it to look natural and organic. So I just used my wet wipe just to rub it a little bit, and honestly, it doesn't really look like much anymore, but that's okay. I just wanted to get rid of that straight edge. We've got a little bit of pattern here. It's okay. It's all okay. Everything works. Whatever you do with a chuck it all in video, it all works. I absolutely love these, but you do have to make sure that the tray, guys, my words, do you know what's happening? It's 18 degrees today. That's what's happening. My brain is fried. It's just already, it's such a beautiful day. I'm in a really giddy, summery, sunny mood. Make sure your tray is 100% dry before you move on to the next step. Now, the next step, using a beauty blender and some mica powder, I'm going to stencil on some leaves from this large plastic stencil, trying to be as neat as I can. But again, if any of the powder goes AWOL, you know, if it goes out and over the sides, just use a wet wipe and or a cotton bud just to clean up the edges, because what I don't want is a bunch of accidental mica splodges. You know, that was not the plan for this. So if I got any over the edge, which I do, I just use a wet wipe to go around, wipe the surface to make sure that they won't be visible in the final piece. So again, I didn't really lay out a plan. I didn't sit here and think, I want this here, this here, this here. I literally just went with the flow. I was having so much fun. I had my radio on, had the windows open. It was such a lovely, chilled resin creation. And I think that is why my heart 100% belongs in chuck it all in techniques, because there's just no rules. It's going to be chaos. And I love that. I absolutely love that. Now, I made a mistake here. Don't be like me. Don't be like Claire. Straight away, I laid down this silk screen and see, my brain was disconnecting. It ripped off the tattoo, which of course it would, right? So just don't make that mistake. The only thing I decided to do here was use some tape to get rid of that little splodge of tattoo that's left. The silk screen, of course, pretty much took out the tattoo that I had there. It was only a little bit of the tattoo, but it took it away. It totally and utterly took it away. And it ate into the other bigger tattoo. So silly human error. But again, it's all part of the learning process. I cut the silk screen down a little bit, which is hard because you still want to try and keep within the lines. Cut it down a little bit to fit the gap so that none of that silk screen would rip off anything else, especially that gorgeous tropical leaf edge that I've already used with the mica powder. But again, like I was saying, this one was a do what you want, go with the flow, no rules, let it just speak to you without sounding a little bit too out there. Let it just go for it, basically. I didn't put too much thought into placement, and the only thing I knew I needed and wanted was to put a lot of the detail around the outside, because my plan was to potentially leave the center as clear as possible for an inspirational quote or a UVDTF or something along those lines. So I really did not focus any attention at all on the center of this tray. All of my focus was primarily around the outside to get as much detail in as possible. The only downside to chuck it all in is knowing when to stop. And I did not know when to stop. I was like, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Stamps. Out came the stamps. This was not part of the plan, but I thought to myself, this would work. This could work. What would it work? And if not, that's cool. It's a learning. It's a lesson. So I looked behind me and I was like, oh, stamps. Pretty things. So I went and grabbed some leaf stamps, and I'm just using some black ink to stamp them into the tray as well. So again, this was not part of the plan, completely off. I thought, why not? Like what is the worst that could happen? I don't like it, or they just don't turn out right. That's it. Nothing else. As it stands, they printed immediately, which I was really happy about. But with silicone being resistant to a lot of things, it is of course a non-porous surface. So after I stamped 3 times, and you zoom in, you can kind of see the stamp trying to be like, no, I don't want to be here. So it's kind of like shriveling back on itself. It pretty much stayed in place on top of the mica, but direct on the silicone, it didn't really pan out. So would I do that again? Most likely not. Next up, we're going to place down some gold foil. I just want minimal gold foil, a little teeny bit. I don't want it to overtake. I want hints of it. So when you demold the tray and you're staring at the tray, my aim was for you to see something different every time you look at the tray. And that is my favorite thing about Chuck It All In. This is what we're looking like. We've got the gold foil, teeny tiny elements of gold foil down there. You could, if you wanted to, colour in those temporary tattoos with micas or glitters or anything you want. I'm leaving them completely. Now, it was at this point I thought, how gorgeous would that tray look on its own as it is right now? Just that. Don't do any more to this. Fill it with white, fill it with blue, fill it with pink, whatever colour, as long as it's not black, because you'll lose the temporary tattoos. So yeah, keep an eye out for the next video because I do go ahead and try it. The resin we're using in today's video is of course the Apex. I have mixed up 400 grams of the Apex resin. Crystal clear, guys. They ship worldwide, and the details for Apex alongside your discount code will be in my description box. Now, I've set all of that resin off to get mixed by my Let's Resin mixing machine. And while I'm doing that, while the machine, should I say, is doing its thing, I can just crack on. I can get everything ready for the next stage. When that resin is mixed and I'm ready to pour, I won't be faffing. I won't be flapping. I'll have everything I need laid out and ready to go. And that's not the only reason I love the Let's Resin mixing machine. This video is not sponsored by Let's Resin. It's not about the Let's Resin mixing machine, but it honestly is such a godsend of a machine. It truly is. By the time you've mixed your resin yourself with your hands, it's, then you have to crack on and get ready, or, do it all the other way around. So anyway, fully recommend. Like I said, not sponsored, but Let's Resin did send me one of the mixing machines, and I bought one for myself as well. So I've got two because I'm greedy like that. Okay, the resin is mixed. It is time to pour. I've got everything ready. I've got my pressed leaves, my pressed flowers, my glass mirror pieces. I've got some petals. I've got everything I need to lay down into this tray at this point. And all I'm doing right now is a thin layer of resin. Now, I forgot to mention that I did actually take that sponge and I rubbed it around the surface of that druzy. Not intensely, just gently, delicately kissed the surface of the druzy with the gold mica, so we've got a little bit of visual interest in there as well. So next up, we are heating this resin up with the Let's Resin heat gun. Again, if you're new to resin, this is just going to make sure that it's as crystal clear as it can possibly be. And I do really need this to be crystal clear because this is a chuck it all in, and I want everything to be really clear and visible. And I wouldn't worry about this at all if I'd added colour. I don't bother with the heat gun if I've added colour, if I'm honest. But I do want it crystal clear. So next up, I don't know what that blue thing is there. I can't believe I didn't even see it. All right, I'm only noticing it whilst editing this video that there was something blue in there. It looks like a piece of that silicone putty. Do you remember the silicone putty video? Anyway, we are going around the edges with some of those petals. I do want to make sure they sink though. I don't want them to float and come up out of the surface of the tray. I've poured some of the mirror glass into the lid and we're just sprinkling that around the edge. Now the druzy edge on these molds, they're pretty spectacular on their own and do a great job without me doing this. But I sometimes find that adding glass shards or mirror chunks can just elevate that stunning druzy edge. And also I was using the glass mirror chunks to hold the petals down because the last thing I want is for those petals to float and come up through the surface. So a little quick jab with a wooden lollipop stick just to push them down and shove them down and make sure that they do not come back up is all that was needed at this point. Now the next section was slightly sped up because this was time consuming. Took me forever. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, the edges are my priority. I am not focusing on the center of this tray at all whatsoever. One thing to remember, everything will navigate to the center of the tray. If you are new here, new to resin, everything you put in right now, like I'm doing, it's gonna be dragged. It's not gonna stay there. It's gonna be dragged from the edges to the center. Maybe not the full center, but everything's gonna move. So it is imperative, vital, and essential that if you don't want that to happen, you absolutely have to babysit your tray. I made sure that I came up every 10 minutes, every 20 minutes, within the first hour, and I had to drag everything back twice because it had moved. And even if you really focus on the video for the next minute, you'll see that everything is starting to move into the center of the tray. I don't know the science behind it. That is how you can create like stunning blooms and flower techniques, because you know that the resin is going to drag all of your colors into the center. But absolutely babysit. It is so important, especially for me, because I don't want that center to have anything in it at all. So at this point, my plan was to do a cling film technique over the top of this. Like I wanted all of it in one tray, but the reality was I simply did not have enough space. So I did drag some of the resin out in the hopes that maybe I could have enough space. But the reality of doing a cling film technique is that I need to have enough room left in this tray for another 2 layers of resin, and I just simply did not have the room. So this is what we're looking like, kind of a little bit of a close-up. We've got everything packed in there, and yeah, now we just walk away and we wait. Now this is 24 hours later. I ended up asking my patrons, so thank you to my patrons, because I always ask for their advice and I go with the majority vote. And my question was, what colour am I doing this background? The options were vast, and I like the idea of blue because the mould is blue. So I mixed up a ton more resin. This is Apex again. Way more than I need because I'm filming another video directly after this. I'm going to be using the Let's Resin Cyan and White. My patrons majority voted for blue background with white as well. So like a cloudy blue summer sky blended with the white and the blue. And I absolutely loved that idea. So again, thank you so much, patrons. You saw the 2 cups there in my hand. I was just going to go left hand, right hand, right hand. You know, like just pour it on. But then I realized it's probably going to be easier for me if I use a split cup. I've got a 3 compartment split cup. So I just put some blue in one and white in another, and then a mixture of white and blue in another. And honestly, I don't think it's going to make a significant difference that I'm adding a little bit of white into this blue, but it's all going to help. Now, at this point, I am pouring immediately. I'm not waiting. I don't want any defined lines between my white and blue. I want it very much to blend with each other, and the only way to do that is to pour right now after mixing. If you would like, I guess, more patterns and more defined block edges between your white and blue, let your resin sit up for a while. Like let it set up like a solid, you could easily sit the pot on the side for 30 minutes before coming back and pouring. But again, I don't want that. I don't want to see what you can see right now on screen, the lines between the white and blue. I don't want that. So by pouring right now really quickly, those are going to disappear, and we're going to get a blend of white and blue meets wispy summery clouds and summer blue sky. And that was the plan. That was the aim. And so that's what I did. So making sure that I've scraped every last little drop out of the split cup, and of course those resin cups that I mixed it in the first place, making sure that this mold is filled to the brim. So again, Molds and Shapes are closing. I do believe they're taking a break at the end of March. So if you are interested in Molds and Shapes molds, your discount code is down below. Check out my last video for more detail. This is 24 hours later. As you can see, I've already demolded this because my patrons saw it first, because I asked for their advice. I absolutely love this. Let me know your thoughts. My initial gut instinct was, wow, tropical heaven. Like this is Hawaii. This is all things tropical. And I think that is because of the beautiful red and pink flowers. And just look at this. Now, this is the kind of chuck it all in where you're not going to see everything at once. You're going to stare at the tray and see something new each time. But here is a close-up. We've got that gold mica that was stenciled on. We've got the temporary tattoos. And I absolutely love the placement of some of these flowers. They've just worked. Because the temporary tattoos, it almost looks like they are the flower from the temporary tattoo. Now the stamp didn't really come out. I won't do that again, to be honest. Kind of not worth it. Could you stamp on top of cured resin? Yes, you could. Either way around, whatever works best for you. I just love this combination of temporary tattoos, flowers and leaves and petals and gold foil and all of the mirror glass in that druzy edge and some mirror in the surface as well. Love, love, love this combination. Now, it was at this point, like I said, I asked my patrons again. So I videoed the demold for my patrons, and I just said, guys, I nearly said patience, like I'm a doctor. I said, help me out. What do? Do I leave it like this? Do I add something in the middle? The majority vote again leave it alone, Claire. Like, walk away. Do you know how hard it is to walk away? It's so hard. So thank you to my patrons who all said, leave it as it is. You don't need anything in the middle. I didn't know whether to add a UVDTF or some, you know, a quote, like a Cricut Vinyl quote, summary, tropical quote, or anything like that. But again, majority rules on my Patreon page. So I'm leaving it as is for this video. I hope you feel inspired. If you're wondering why I have not top coated at this point, it is because I ran out of time. This tray absolutely needs to be top coated because of that temporary tattoo. Now that temporary tattoo went straight on to the mold. There are 3 ways to do it. Straight on the mold, or after demold, you will definitely need a top coat. If you don't want a top coat, then you need to put a clear layer of resin in the mold first, wait for that to cure, put your temporary tattoo on that, and then you don't need a top coat. But because I put the temporary tattoo straight on the mold, yes, this does need a top coat. I will be doing that off camera because I've run out of time. It's like a 3-day project, but make sure you do that because the temporary tattoo is still sticky to the touch and you definitely do not want that. I hope you feel inspired with this project. Again, just chucking it all in, not having too many rules and boundaries and just going with the flow and allowing yourself to be creative. I absolutely love it. Let me know your thoughts and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.